For all intents and purposes of this story, I speak two languages. English, obviously, and Lao. Language for me is very important. It remains one of the effective ways to communicate if done properly. Ever notice when you go to a restaurant and pronounce the food right, the kind of treatment you get? There are certain words and phrases that cannot be precisely translated into English. And to be honest, there are certain words and phrases that just sound better in other languages. But language, especially for diaspora-born children, keeps us closer to a culture we may not be exposed to anymore, a country we may never visit again, and family members we may never meet. I live with my mom and daughter, Aditi. My mother speaks Lao but very little English, and Aditi speaks English but very little Lao. I was raised speaking Lao to my mom, so that is what I speak with her. With my daughter, I use English because that is the language I'm more fluent in and therefore more comfortable with. Yet when they speak to each other, they use a completely different language, broken English.
Aditi, tell me about tomorrow, what you're doing for International Day.
We're going to bring food.
What kind of food?
Sticky rice, and we're gonna make 25.
Who's making them?
My grandma.
Is she making it right now?
No, she's gonna make it at 9 o'clock tomorrow.
Can you ask her what she's doing right now?
Okay. What do you do right now?
What?
What do you do?
I clean everything. Don't put me clean, okay? Too much dirty.
She said she's pregnant.
Everything going on COVID, I tell you. Please don't put me.
I'm gonna ask her something. Mẹ, chưa thấy nhầm rồi đi. Chưa thấy nhầm.
Clean up,
Okay.
clean table, clean kitchen, everything clean, okay?
So technically, broken English is not a language. It's still English, just with an accent and a few extra grammar rules removed. For people like my mom, it is speaking English the best way they know how. For my daughter, it's an intermediate level of understanding. Listening to her navigate between the English she uses with me and the version she uses with my mom is an obvious attempt for her to relate. Unlike the mock English that American actors generically use to portray racist characters in movies, which, by the way, gets played out in real life situations, the broken English my daughter speaks is a well-observed imitation, a sound-for-sound copy of what she hears when my mother speaks. It's another means to communicate with someone she happens to love.
Aditi, you know what this is?
It's balls.
Made with what?
Onion.
Onions and what?
Cornmeal.
What's cornmeal?
Cornmeal is the sticky rice that you hold.
Are you sure that's what's in here?
Uh-huh.
Ask Grandma.
She said yes.
Yeah. Did you ask her what it's made out of?
What is it made out?
Huh?
What is it made out?
What put the egg, put sticky rice, sticky rice.
She put the sticky
Yeah.
rice, the fries,
onion.
and she put eggs.
Okay. Do you like it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. You know what it's called?
Kanong kok?
Kanong cook.
What? What's it called?
Kanong cook.
You want to ask her? Ask her.
It is kanong cook.
Xếp lại. Say xếp lại.
Kanong cook. She said yes.
Bye.
When my daughter was born, I had assumed that my mom would teach her to speak Lao as she had with me. At first, it seemed it was going that way. Aditi's first recognizable word was oi na, which is the Lao equivalent to the Yiddish oy vey. Her first English word, which showed up some months later, was meatball. But as time passed and watching cartoons became a daily habit, English soon surpassed Lao, and my mom gave in or gave up, depending on how you look at it. So there were a few factors as to why 3 generations living under one house do not share a common language, or why 2 of them choose a vernacular that isn't easy for either of them to speak. First, the transition between Lao to English can be tricky. Lao is a tonal language, so meanings are dependent on the tone. For example, gao gao gao, to an unfamiliar ear, may sound like the same word being repeated 3 times. But in actuality, what I'm saying in Lao are the words for scratch, proceed, and the number 9, respectively. The Vientiane dialect, which my mother speaks, has 6 tones: low, mid, high, rising, high falling, and low falling. At 6 years old, Aditi cannot differentiate this, and when I try to explain to her the separate meaning for each same sounding word, it sounds like a trick question waiting to happen. Secondly, there is no need for Lao. When I was a child, as far back as I can remember, which was about the age of 5, I was my mother's translator for everything. I share this distinctive trait with all children of immigrants, particularly and especially because my parents were refugees. In their decision to leave Laos during war, there was no prepping or preparing, no time to learn a new language. I suppose it's an innate belief of refugees that if you can get by with very little, then you can survive. The third factor is my mom's hearing, which is going. She has a hearing aid but doesn't wear it. Something about having to listen to too many birds and bees. But more than a few conversations have turned into miscommunicated meltdowns because my mom could not make out the words Aditi was saying. It usually starts out with my daughter telling her grandmom something, then repeating it over and over, louder and louder with each try. My mom echoing the phrases back, but getting them wrong every time. And then finally, my daughter storming off in frustration. My mom and Aditi still have their routine. I've asked my mom to do a better job of only speaking Lao to my daughter, but it's me who ends up translating for Aditi what my mom is trying to say. In the meantime, I've accepted this Laolish is how they talk to each other. This secret language amongst family that others try to duplicate but cannot decode. There's some folks who tell you, I love yous are for white people. This may be true, but to that I say, bo khao chai, or as my mom and Aditi would put it, bo understand. Thank you.